ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ कारणशरीरं किम् अनिर्वाच्य अनादि अविद्यारूपम् शरीरद्वयस्य कारणमात्रम् सत्स्वरूप अज्ञानम् निर्विकल्पकरूपम् यदस्ति तत्कारणशरीरम्. So anirvachya anadi avidya rupam. First is avidya is anadi, beginningless. So avidya does not begin, it means it only knows how to go. Any cause doesn't begin. In fact, and if that is the cause of everything, well, it will not begin. Effect will begin. We should understand this very well. Cause can never begin. Like I will give you an example, but just it is a limited example. And there is a clay and there is a pot. Pot can begin. Once pot dies, goes back to the clay. It can begin again. But clay cannot begin. Clay is. That's all. Clay has begun, you cannot say. Pot has begun, you can say. And therefore, basically, ignorance being the cause of everything, it cannot begin. It only knows how to go. Therefore, how to go. And how to go means, how will it go? It goes by knowledge. So it is anadi. Well, so any beginning implies its prior absence, and well, if prior absence means if this ignorance was not there before it begins, then definitely the knowledge must be there. And if knowledge is there, well, ignorance cannot come. And therefore, this is another way also we can look into. And that's our own experience, that whenever we get a knowledge, well, once anything gets a label of known, it will be known throughout the life. Whether it may be in your, memory or not, that's a different thing. But whenever suppose somebody reminds you and it comes, then it always comes as a known, never unknown. Suppose if I forget this thing, right now I have known it. Okay, once it is known, it is known. And then it will always remain known. Perhaps in between I may forget it in between. But if somebody brings it in front of me, I will say, yeah, I know this. So it always comes as a known. Means what? Knowledge, if knowledge is there, ignorance of a particular object cannot come. So it doesn't begin. That's what it is. And therefore, begins means any beginning implies a prior absence. And if prior absence of ignorance means there must be a knowledge. And if knowledge is there, ignorance cannot begin there. And therefore it is beginningless. So it is beginningless, at the same time it comes to an end. And therefore it is called mithya. Which does not begin but comes to an end is mithya. Which does not begin and which doesn't end is satyam. That's how we have to say. And therefore, satyam means it is abaditam. It is abaditam. What is negated is always mithya. And what cannot be negated is satyam. So even in the future it cannot be negated. It had no beginning. So we could not negate in the past. And it is endless. I mean, it is anantaha. It cannot come to an end. Means you cannot negate even in the future. Well, then it is abaditam. Then it is satyam. So that's the difference between Atma and ignorance. And this is avidya rupam, anadi avidya rupam. It is ignorance, and also it is called karana shariram. And we have seen yesterday, karana shariram means it's an upadhi for Sachidananda Atma. Because of this avidya, the Brahman or Sachidananda Atma looks as a jiva. That's all. It appears as a jiva because of a upadhi. Any upadhi imposes its own attributes on this a thing which is nearby, and therefore definitely this ignorance, being non-separate, superimposes its own attribute on Sachidananda Atma, and so Atma appears as jiva and appears limited. What is the nature of Atma? It's a contrary appearance will be there, and therefore same Brahman now is looking upon itself as a jiva, as an individual, and then he definitely feels a lot of limitations. He has a discomfort within himself or herself, whatever. And then definitely to remove the discomfort, to remove this lack, he does lots of things. He or she does lots of things. Lots of desires are there. And so definitely he has a doership. Well, if he has no doership, no problem. But doership also arises. Reality is a non-doer. Nahanyate and nahanyaman. I mean nahanyate. Nahanti nahanyate. Sorry. Nahanti nahanyate. It doesn't kill. It is not kill. I mean, it is not Tattvabodha. We have seen in Bhagavad Gita. So therefore, a Satchidananda Atma which is not a karta, which is not a bhokta, not a doer, not experiencer, looks that he is basically karta bhokta. And then karta, if karta is there, then action is initiated. For what, Swamiji? For fulfilling the desire. And then once therefore he does a karma and generates punya, papa, etc. Depending upon the intensity of the desire, depending upon the pressure of a desire. The desire itself is a pressure. The very intense desire is a pressure. And therefore, definitely, it vents out. And at that time, definitely, it may go against universal order. And definitely, it will go, depending upon the intensity of the desire. And therefore, punya, papa, etc. arises. And to experience punya, papa, since he himself considers as a karta, he initiated karma, he has to experience now phalam. And in one janma, it is not sufficient. So he should come again. I will come again, but where will he stay to enjoy all this? Well, he will be given a new body. So this ignorance ultimately becomes a cause for a sthula sharira also. So sukha dukkhadi bhoga ayatanam, and we have seen that in sthula sharira definition. And also you need instruments to enjoy sukha dukkha, etc., pleasure, pain, etc. Without instruments you cannot enjoy. Without a counter you cannot enjoy. So you need a counter, you need instruments in the counter. With both this, sukha dukkhadi bhoga ayatanam, sukha dukkhadi bhoga sadhanam. Sadhanam is instrument. With both of this, he now has to experience his own karma phala of the past life or of this life. So therefore, jiva has been given this new body, both the bodies. But jiva, how does jiva has come? That's what we say. Because of ignorance. Same Brahman is looked upon, Sachidananda Atma is looked upon as it appears as a jiva, becomes karta, bhokta. I mean, everywhere you have to put eva, as though karta, as though bhokta, and therefore everything is there. And therefore, basically this avidya becomes a cause for this Karana Shariram becomes a cause for other two bodies. Karana Shariram, that's why it has been told Sharira Dvayasya Karana Matram. This Sharira Dvayasya Karana Matram, it is a cause, merely the cause of these two bodies, the gross and subtle. The subtle body is basically to experience this punya and papa, and definitely to keep those instruments you need a counter, you need a house, well, and that is this gross body. And then punya papa will be there, definitely. Then which forms the cause of, even you can say it is for to be born again and again, that also you can say. So we always say avidya is a cause for samsara. Samsara means samyak sarati iti samsara. Samyak sarati. Nicely it moves from one to other. Vasamsi jinanani yatha vihaya navani grunnati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jinanani anyani sanyati navani dehi. This dehi, this jiva, the indweller of the body. This indweller of the body, when I say, sometime I may refer indweller of the body as a witness, and sometime indweller of the body as a jiva, depending upon this indweller consumes the subtle body and gross body. I mean, along with the gross body, subtle body, then Swamiji, cannot be called indweller. Okay, it cannot be called indweller, but it is pervading the body. Indweller means it pervades the body. And when it pervades the body, but basically he takes himself the body, gross and subtle. Well, and then he is not called a witness, he is a jiva. Then indweller of the body in terms of witness also, because he is a witness of both these, all the three bodies, basically, all the three bodies. That way also you can. Then you have to subtract all the three bodies. If you add three bodies and this indweller consciousness, well, then he is a jiva. It is a jiva. The same Brahman is, of course, they don't call Brahman here. At the individual standpoint, they even Vidyaranya use the word Kutastha or Sakshi. Sharitrayasya Sakshi, or which is Kutastha. See, Kutastha is nothing but the all-pervading Brahman only. But with an individual, from the standpoint of an individual, from the standpoint of these three bodies, the same consciousness, all-pervading Brahman is called Kutastha. If you subtract all the three bodies, then the same indweller is called Kutastha. That is called Tvampada Lakshyartha. And Tvampada Vachyartha is what? Immediate meaning of Tvam means what? Jiva, individual. Okay, then three bodies are included. The same indweller. Well, Brahman alone has manifested in the Antakaranam, and of course I identified with everything through the I thought, through Ahankara, and basically that is how Tvampada Vachyartha means the direct meaning of I and the indirect meaning of I, which is called implied meaning as such. The implied meaning of I are different. Implied meaning is Sakshi and direct meaning is Jiva, individual. Then why are you subtracting three bodies? Well, its nature is such that I have to subtract. What can I do? How will you subtract? How you have removed all this from your mathematical equation? There should be some way. You cannot just throw them out like you are throwing away this banana peel. Easily we throw it out. You cannot throw it out that way. Yeah, but they are basically of the nature of mithya. They are mithya. Mithya cannot be counted. If you want to, but mithya cannot be counted means they are non-existent. No, they are not non-existent. Mithya is a different category, and mithya is basically a seemingly existent entity. Anyway, what I am saying is basically the same jiva. That's how in Aham Brahmasmi, what is Aham, we have to understand very beautifully. If you want to equate with Brahman, then I, the direct meaning of I in which all the three bodies are there, well, the jiva cannot be Brahman, and therefore you have to subtract. And that implied meaning is, we get the implied meaning through Lakshana. If you want an Lakshyartha, you have to employ Lakshana. And that Lakshana is called Bhagatyaga Lakshana. Bhagatyaga. Bhagatyaga means from this individual, this composite entity, Bhagasya tyagaha. You remove one part. Which part should I remove, Swami? The indweller I will remove, and the conscious being I will remove, or I will remove the three bodies? In the three bodies you should remove. Three bodies are non-separate from conscious being. Conscious being is independent in terms of existence. And therefore conscious being provides the existence through all the three bodies. Conscious being provides the consciousness to all these three bodies. That's how they are illuminating. They are visible. They are there. You come to know because they become evident to you. Not that to the body conscious being becomes an evident. To the body conscious being does not become evident. All the three bodies become evident to the conscious being. And therefore they are dependent. What can we say? They are dependent for existence, for evidence, and therefore they are mithya. If they are mithya, means subtract them. Well, then now same I after Bhagatyaga Lakshana, this so-called Indwella becomes a witness, Kutasthaha or Sakshi of these three bodies. This is how we do. But anyway, here this avidya is because of this avidya which becomes a cause for getting new bodies. I mean, clothes are ready. As you leave from the body, there itself, this jiva, after packing everything, let me now finish that part also. And see what happens is, when from all these golakas, different places in the body, the jiva withdraws. So first the indriyas all are withdrawn. Pranas also withdraw. And they reach to the heart through the nadis. They have to go to the heart. There should be some way. And all the nadis are there, 101 nadis. 101 roots are there. To the periphery of body and the heart. Between heart and periphery of the body, there are 101 roots are there. Roads are there. So all these karanas, basically, all the parts of subtle body, and indriyas and etc., all start withdrawing at the time of death. And when they are withdrawn, they go through the nadi to the heart. Pranas also leave and go to the heart. Indriyas also go to the heart. The mind also go to the heart. There is a krama in Chandogya, there's been told. Asya somya purushasya prayatah vang manasi sampadyate manah prane pranah tejasi tejah prasyam devatayam, etc., etc. And therefore vang means this vak, sense organ, etc. Well, therefore basically all the sense organ, that's upalakshana, all the sense organ withdrawn from their own residence. And they go through the road of nadis to the heart. And well, so whole subtle body starts withdrawing and go to the heart. Pranas also go to the heart, everything, mind also go to the heart, and jiva is there. Jiva already is there, and he welcomes. And he only packing up, because jiva's prarabdha is going to be over now. And therefore, he is packing. And after packing everything, he brought everything to the one place from whole this body, from whole, eight bedrooms house. He brings everything, all luggage, bring into the living room and keep. And now he wants to leave this place. And then he thought, I'm too tired, I will have to take a coffee. And before taking coffee, he just takes a nap. Tejaha prasyam devatayam. It is beautifully said. Tejaha means Agni Tattva, means all this raw material for the next body. The jiva is, embodied with that. And all these other sense organs, everything is there. All these things is that the Tejaha prasyam devatayam, this jiva resolves into Paradevata, it means Brahman. Swamiji, therefore the jiva resolves into Brahman, then why should I study with you? For what? Ultimately, this jiva and Brahman becomes one. Yeah, every day, sir, you are becoming. You need not wait up to the death. Every day you go and sushupti. Jiva resolves into Brahman. That's how you have a joy. You have a joy. But how can you say you have resolved into Brahman? Okay, if you are not resolved into Brahman, and you are right there even in the sushupti, what is your dimension? As a jiva, what's your dimension? Oh, I know I am this 5 feet 6 inches. Is it there? Do you have that awareness about yourself that you are 5 feet 6 inches? Do you have any awareness regarding anything? As an individual, whatever awareness you have in the waking state, do you have in the deep sleep? No. Then how can you say you are there still as an individual? So you have resolved. You have resolved into limitless because your experience about yourself that you are just limitless. So you have resolved, but resolved with ignorance. That's a problem. And therefore, Vyasacharya ji says that beautifully. So since the Bheda Buddhi, ignorance is there, and being ignorance, there is a distance between you and Parmeshwara. There is no distance between Jiva and Parmeshwara. Jiva and Brahma, there is no distance. Not in terms of space, not in terms of time, not in terms of attributes. Not in terms of attributes. Don't think Jiva has some attributes and Parmeshwara has a different attributes, and therefore there is a distance between them. Parmeshwara is a Nirgunam. Brahman is Nirgunam. In space also there is no distance. Why in terms of space there is no distance between Jiva and Parmeshwara? How can you say there is no distance? Because the Brahman is all pervasive. Where the Jiva is, there the Brahman is. In terms of time, there is no distance at all. When there is a Jiva, there is a Parmeshwara. And therefore, if you have a distance and you feel the distance between you and Brahman, well, it is in terms of ignorance. With that ignorance, you go in the deep sleep state. So you keep the distance. Well, if you keep the distance, then what Parmeshwara can do? So you wake up again with the distance. Go into the deep sleep with the distance. But how will you know that really I resolve into Brahman? I mean, even with the distance, I resolve into Brahman, how can you say? That's in Chandogya only it has been told, Sata Somya Tada Sampanno Bhavati, Swamapito Bhavati, etc. And Swapiti iti nama, Sata Somya Tada Sampanno Bhavati, Sata Sat Rupena Bhavati. In deep sleep state, the Jiva as though becomes Sat. Sat is Brahman in Chandogya, Sadeva Someda Bagra Asit, and therefore the Sat is Brahman, and in Brahman he resolves. And that's how he gets a joy, definitely gets a joy. But ignorance, the cause is there for individuality, for the distance, for the Dvaitam, etc. between you and Parmeshwara. And so with the same thing you come out, etc. Okay. So this merger into Brahman at the time of death for an ignorant person is a temporary merger. And therefore, definitely, sir, you will have to attend the classes of Swami, and therefore to remove the ignorance. So definitely, in a waking state, you should know that there is between me and Parmeshwara there is no distance. You should know there is no distance is a truth. You should know that there is no distance. That's a thing. That's how there is a distance. It has born of ignorance. There is no other distance, no physical distance, no time distance, etc., etc. Anyway, this is how. And so Jiva, once it comes out of Brahman after taking rest, after packing, he has merged into, then he comes out, then he thinks, which way I will have to go out of this body? Because 101 roads now, and so many doors. When there are so many doors, we also feel perplexed that through which door I should enter. Then something happens. What happens? Hridayasya agram pradyotate. When as he come out of his home, and at that time if some flash light occurs, showing that this is the road for you. Yeah, that's the vasanas, which is the cause of the next birth. Those vasanas becomes, they get manifest. That becomes the light. And the karmas, the next prarabdha karma also manifest. And in that light of karma and vasana, well, he sees his next body. And it shows a way also through which road he has to go. And therefore, he picks up that nadi, comes to the periphery of the body and leaves. Now, in that, on different roads, there is this particular, there are various doors, you can say. And through the doors, there is a special door for a VIP. That's how we go to any, in any, hall. Then there is always, for VIP, there is a separate door, separate road also, whatever. So here the Upasaka, even though he is Ajnani, Ishwar Upasaka is a VIP. For him there is a special door. Well, from the heart directly to the Murda. That's called Sushumna Nadi. Through that he lives from the Murda and goes to Brahmaloka. And all other Ajnanis, depending upon their karmas and etc., they choose the road, and in light of these vasanas. They're like, the people, the miners we have seen, they always have a torch here on the head. Because in the mines there is all darkness. Then how will they know that what is the road? Well, so this torch is there. Through that torch they know. Here also this jiva knows. Vasana is a torch. And that vasanas and karmas, through that, definitely, he is shown a particular road. That through this road you go, reach to the periphery of the body. But Swamiji, how can he go away from the world? There is a skin and dermis and epidermis, and there are 6 layers and so thick. How can he go, Swamiji? Jiva is sukshmaha, and I have given you example, perhaps if you remember, as the light can enter through even 8 inches thick glass, light can enter. Same way. Jiva is even, that is a physical light. Jiva is so subtle. Well, there is no physical body in the jiva. Physical body is living. He goes only with this material. He goes with his own packing, that is subtle body, nothing else. And his vasanas and his karmas, that is part of the causal body. Well, he goes. And so it is so subtle, and definitely. But how can you say causal body is very subtle? If subtle body is subtle, then causal body is more subtle. Why? Cause is always subtler than the effect. And therefore, the avidya is subtler than that. His vasanas is unmanifest, entire unmanifest of so many lives, all sanchitas and all vasanas. That's a part of the causal body. Well, that also goes along with. And therefore, whenever we talk about Sukshma Sharira leaves, please understand that it is with the causal body also. We never mention about causal body because causal body is considered. Definitely, because he is moving. He is moving. So you can infer causal body. That's all. No movement for a jnani. No movement for a jnani. Na tasya pranaha utkramanti. Well, he has not to go anywhere. If I have to go somewhere, well, definitely jiva is there. If jiva is there, ignorance is there, causal body is there. And therefore it is there. In fact, it has become very fat. Any ignorant person has fed so much to the causal body. My God, so many vasanas he daily gathers and makes the causal body literally fattish, whatever you say. So many karmas and so many vasanas and every day he is creating also. Now Sagami also is there, Sanchita is there, very big Sanchita. Jnani's causal body has become like a 94-year-old person, 94-year-old person, and he is so thin, even though he is on the bed. He is very ill and he is on the bed. You have to search where is in the bed. You have covered his body, you will have to find under the cover he is there or not. So thin. So Jnani's causal body has become so thin because ignorance has gone. All the Sanchita has gone. While he is living, Sanchita has gone. No Agami because there is no Kartrutvam and no new Vasanas. And therefore his causal body is almost shrink. And therefore if it is shrink, then definitely when the Prarabdha is over, causal body also shrinks away. Subtle body also shrinks away. If the cause does not remain, where is the question of subtle body? The effect. Both resolve. Physical body, he lives wherever there is. And so he becomes free, totally free. That is how, anyway, so I have covered some questions also in this. even though we are talking about Karana Shariram, but I have covered few part of even how a Jiva lives. This is how they live. Ajnanis have to, there are two words in Vedanta for that, Utkrantihi, Gatihi. Utkranti means coming out of the physical body, and Gatihi means going to a particular loka, particular yoni, particular deha, etc. he has to gain, etc. So he has to move in that direction. All this is Utkranti and Gati is only for Ajnanis. For Jnani, no Utkranti, no Gati. Na tasya pranaha utkranti. Parat param purusham upaiti divyam. In Mundaka Upanishad also said, when the Jnani dies, his subtle body, his prana, everything goes to the Paramatma, the Brahman being the cause of everything. And but then Swamiji, subtle body, you generally, I think you forget, Swamiji. The subtle body is made up of subtle elements. That's a karya, you said. What is the cause? The cause is even subtler. The subtle elements is a cause. From that, the subtle body is made. And therefore, the subtle body should go to the 5 basic elements, which is in a subtler form. Okay, what is the truth? It resolves into Brahman or it resolves into the elements? Both are right. Both are right. That's how Mundaka Upanishad says in, I think, 3 to 7 and 3 to 8 almost. Yeah, they give an example of this river resolves into ocean. Same way this Jnani's prana resolves into the basic elements also, they say, or Jnani's prana, the subtle body, etc. resolves into Brahman. Then the very next mantra it says. So both are right. From one angle, well, we can say, from the Vyavaharik standpoint, from the transactional reality, from the ignorant person's standpoint, we can say, the causal body resolves into, his subtle body resolves into the basic elements. And from the Jnani standpoint, basically there is nothing other than Brahman. Well, there is nothing other than Brahman for him. Only reality is Brahman. Therefore, he says all the subtle body, etc., resolves into Brahman. Both are right. And that Prashna Upanishad also very beautifully said, Purushaha akalaha bhavati. This Purusha, the Jnani, sees himself as a Brahman and he becomes akalaha, means he is free from the kalas. He becomes free from all these parts of the subtle body, means it resolves into Brahman. Beautifully said. Vyasacharya said it resolves into Brahman. Bhashyakara says even it resolves into subtle elements, etc. If it is said, well, it is just from the standpoint. The standpoint is, one is from Paramarthic standpoint, from the reality standpoint. Other is from like I will give you an example. Yeah, like suppose a dream. In a dream, you are seeing a tree. Now you wake up. Now dream tree resolves into what? That's the question. Dream tree resolves into what? Swamiji, dream tree is an effect. It has come out of the earth, and therefore earth is a cause. So dream tree resolves into dream earth. Correct. But if the person who has woken up, he says the dream tree along with the dream earth has resolved into me. Is it true or not? It's true. So I can say directly the dream tree has resolved into the waking person. Or from the dreamer's standpoint, dream tree has resolved into a dream earth, basically. But for a waking person, I am telling you, a dream tree and dream earth are both mithya. Both mithya. And therefore, definitely he says everything resolves into me. Same way from the Brahman the person who knows that I am Brahman, for him, basically subtle elements are also mithya. And what is formed from the subtle elements, and in fact, karya also is equally mithya. Karya, karana, both are mithya. That's how Brahman, one who knows himself Brahman, he says, I am not a karyam, I am not a karanam. Everything is mithya. Karya, karana is from the standpoint of a transaction reality and from the Vyavaharik angle. So, that is how it is correct. Ultimately, everything resolves into Brahman. You can say that. That's how, by the way, people ask me this question also. this Maya only is a cause of the entire creation. The entire creation should resolve into Maya. Is it true? It is true. Okay? No, it is not true. What are you saying? Because the Taittiriya Upanishad defines Brahman as from this everything is born, everything is sustained and everything resolves. Entire creation resolves into Brahman. Now you say entire creation resolves into Maya. What is truth? What is truth? Both are right. Both are right? Yeah, both are right. From one angle, that's because the Maya being a cause, Maya being a material cause of the creation, well, what was unmanifest has manifested, that's the universe, nothing else. And therefore, everything resolves, all the manifest goes to where? Unmanifest. What is unmanifest? Brahman is unmanifest or Maya is unmanifest? Maya is unmanifest. Well, and therefore Brahman resolves into Maya. Correct. I mean, the creation resolves into Maya. Fine, that's correct. But Maya itself is Mithya. Maya is Mithya. Maya is non-separate from Brahman. Ultimately, Brahman, from the standpoint of Brahman, from the reality standpoint, there is no cause. Maya also is not there and there is no effect. Jagat also is not there. Karya, Karana, both are not there. Please understand this. So, you feel that sometimes the Upanishads are themselves are not clear. Bhashyakara is not clear, that is not clear, he is not clear, Swamis are not clear, etc. etc. Don't think so. If you take Karya Karana, if you are taking Karya as a real, I will have to give you the Karanam. I will have to give you the Karanam. But ultimately this Karanam, so-called Karanam also is from the Vyavaharik standpoint. There is no cause, no effect from reality standpoint. This is how we have to understand. Anyway, this confusion, along with other confusion also should resolve. So, this Maya is, Avidya, the Karana Shariram, has no beginning. It does not exist by itself. And because it is dependent upon the Atma. And here it has been told here, Sat Swarupa Ajnanam. Now here there is another reading also. Sharira Dvayasya, if you see the definition, Sharira Dvayasya Karanamatram Sat Swaswarupa Ajnanam. That's another reading. Same, for us there is not a big difference. Sharira Dvayasya Karanamatram Sat. It is. Sat means here it is. It is a cause, merely the cause of these two bodies. So Sat is not our Sat, existence. Here Sat means it's basically a participle and a neuter, because Karana Matram, Sharira Dvayasya Karana Matram, Sat. So while it is merely, Matram means merely, it is merely a cause of these two bodies. And then you will have to take Swaswarupa Ajnanam. Swaswarupa Ajnanam. With regard to the Swarupa of this Swa, Atma, there is Ajnanam. Means I am is not known to me. Well, I am is known to me, but what I am is not known to me. I am is evident. In fact, it is self-evident. I am Satchidananda, etc. is not known to me. And therefore, and this is how the ignorance is. And ignorance definitely creates this error or a confusion, etc. So I am doer, I am enjoyer, etc. I am a limited, I am samsariya, etc. etc. All this what we say is all a confusion regarding the self, and it is born of the ignorance of the self. So Swaswarupa Ajnanam. You can take it either way. Sat Swarupa Ajnanam also is nothing but the same thing. Ignorance of one's own nature, which is Sat. So this is very well known to me. The confusion is very well known to me. I am is also self-evident, but what I am is not known to me. Instead, the confusion, the error is known to me. And therefore there is ignorance. Ignorance is there, is clear. And and afterwards it is said, Avidya is Anirvachyam. This Avidya, which is Sat Swarupa Ajnanam, which is Ajnanam, is Anadi as well as Anirvachyam. Anirvachyam. Now you say, see, this is how it is. When you say now, yes, there is self-ignorance because there is a self-confusion. Okay, so ignorance is there and self is there. Both things are there. Now what's the relationship between the two? Either they are independent or one is dependent upon the other. These are all possibilities. If both are independent, they would not affect each other. Why ignorance has to affect self, to create a confusion regarding the self? If it is independent, let it create independently. Right? When two trees are independent, well, one tree creates some mangoes, etc. Other tree creates something else, and they are not affected. They are not affecting each other. Same way, let us take this way. If ignorance is independent of the self, because you say ignorance of the self is there, okay, it is there. So ignorance also is self-existent, and self is self-existent. Both are self-existent. Both are real. Then in that case, ignorance, let it create its own thing. But ignorance does not create any other thing but the error regarding the self. Centered on the self, all confusions are created. Means ignorance and self seems to be nearby. Otherwise, if they are independent, then definitely let the ignorance create anything, but it would not affect the self. But we don't find like that. We find all the confusions are centered on the self, and therefore ignorance also is definitely dependent on the self, and that is how ignorance is also non-separate from the self, and so it is not existing independently of this Atma. But why can't we take that way? Atma is dependent on ignorance. Let's take that way. Why you are so much interested in, you are basically, you are egoistic. Because all the time you keep self as, independent and everything. And all other things are kacha-pucha. All this is dependent. I would like to tell, self is dependent on ignorance. ये क्या बात है? You are aware of the ignorance, or ignorance is aware of you? You tell me. As a consciousness, as a conscious being, you cover the ignorance, or ignorance covers you? What is the truth? Yeah. Therefore, basically, and you eliminate the ignorance. Ignorance has eliminated you. Just think of. Ignorance has eliminated a conscious being. We never see. You eliminate the ignorance. Then tell me what is independent. So therefore, definitely, ignorance is dependent on the self. Ignorance is centered on the self. And definitely, even though ignorance and self, two things are there, but it is like wave and water. It is like wave and water, definitely. Or it is like pot and clay, etc. Whatever way you want to say. So ignorance depends upon Satchidananda Atma, that because of the ignorance, because of the consciousness, well, ignorance has existence. Ignorance shines in light of consciousness. Consciousness does not shine in light of ignorance. That is not the case. Ignorance shines in consciousness. Consciousness does not shine in ignorance. Okay? And therefore consciousness is ashraya, ignorance is ashrita. And therefore, even though there are two, but really one is mithya. But don't say mithya, Swamiji. Still you have to prove. Yeah, okay, sorry. So Atma Avidya is neither independently existing, and okay, it is not independently existing, then it is zero, non-existent. You cannot say. Because how? Because I am telling you are Brahman. No, Swamiji, that please don't tell me. You are Brahman. I'm not. I'm not Brahman. Enough. Ho gaya. You have proved the ignorance is there. You have proved. So ignorance is non-existence, you cannot tell. Ignorance is self-existent, you cannot tell. Therefore, ignorance has yat kinchit bhavam asti. Pujya Swamiji says yat kinchit bhavam. It is existent, non-existent. Don't say, Swamiji, tell something concrete. Yeah, seemingly existent. Seemingly existent. This seemingly existent, in example, Swamiji, yeah, example is of a drink. Everything. We can give any example. Wave is seemingly existent. Pot is seemingly existent. Sunrise is seemingly existent. Blue sky is seemingly existent. Stars are seemingly existent. Everything seemingly existent. Seemingly existent. And like dream. Dream is existent or not? No, Swamiji, it is non-existent. Then who has experience? Who is talking about the dream? Oh yeah, it is. I have experience. Okay, then it is self-existent. If it is self-existent, then it should be there right now. But after waking up, you say it is not there also. So it is not self-existent. If it is self-existent, cannot be negated. But you are negating. Sir, you are negating right now. And therefore, it is not self-existent, it is not non-existent, you experience, and therefore dreaming is seemingly existent. Same ignorance also is seemingly existent. Everything seemingly. That seemingly existent is called anirvachyam. Anirvachyam. Anirvachyam means you cannot call it sat, self-existent, you cannot call it asat, non-existent, and therefore sad asad bhyam anirvachaniyam. Sad asad vilakshanam also sometimes they call. Sad asad vilakshanam anirvachaniyam, anirvachyam, both words are used, and the translation should not be inexplicable, because we are since half an hour or 1 hour we are almost trying to explain this ignorance, right? And therefore don't say inexplicable. Puja Swamiji says you are not able to put into a definite category. That's all. You cannot call it sat, self-existent. You cannot call it non-existent. You cannot call it asat. So sat and asat, two categories are there. Self-existent, non-existent. This ignorance you are not able to put in either of that. So since you cannot define it categorically, you should say anirvachyam. So anirvachyam is equal to, well, it is not categorically definable. That's all it means, not inexplicable. And same everything, this is ignorance, and what is created from ignorance also have a same thing. If parents are like this, then the all his progeny also is like that. The Janani itself is like this. What is created from that is also like that. So anything you pick up is ultimately created from ignorance. How can you say, Swamiji? You are taking so much license. Since we are not able to speak, you have make us mute, and therefore basically anything this is created from ignorance. What do you mean? But I am saying, Upanishad is saying, and I am saying this is Brahman. Oh, this is Brahman? Are you sure? Should we put you in mental hospital? Really, if you analyze it, you won't find more than Astivati Priyam. Please, try it today. Try. Other than Astivati Priyam, everything you can negate. Everything. Really. Astivati Priyam cannot negate. So the truth of this, essence of this, Atma of this is Astivati Priyam. But it is Astivati Priyam, but you call it as a Brahman. Yeah. Asti becomes Asmi, that's a problem in grammar. But therefore, Asti and Asmi, what is a big deal? What a big deal. There is no big deal. And therefore, basically it is a form of us. I have to put Ti because it is a third person. Since I also, with I have to put me. But basically it's a form of us. Existence cannot go, sir. Form resolves into another form. That form resolves into another form. That form disintegrates into another form. That form resolves into another form. But every form is, shines. Every form is, shines. Then reduced form is, shine. Further reduced form is, shines. Ultimately you have reached to the point where you cannot see anything out. Then you say it is in the form of concepts. That's how scientists say. Then concept also is basically is, shines. In fact, concept shines in the pure consciousness. Concept is non-separate from the consciousness. Could you follow? Ultimately, everything is a form of Astivati Priyam. If Priyam, don't tell Priyam to me. I just don't like your pink color. And pink, I don't like it. I first think that I don't like clip, and that too pink clip. I just don't like. Where is Priyatva? Sir, it may not be Priya for you, but it is Priyam to me. And therefore, it is Priyam to somebody. Anything existing in this creation is definitely serving a purpose for some living being. Any inert thing in this creation is meant for a jiva. Jiva need not be a human being. Jiva may be any being. And therefore you are seeing what you throw out in the garbage, there are living beings who eat them. They nourish their life. They depend upon them. You throw away this, the fruit, thinking, oh, it is too ripe and now it has rotten. But rotten in which there are many, many jivas there. For them, that is, they like that. In fact, they don't like your fruit. They are not there. Because it's rotten. I tell you, even the cow dung, here in US you won't find. But in India, our cows move on the roads also. Very freedom from all. And so they move on the road and there will be cow dung on the road. And suppose if that cow dung is not taken away, after a few days you find that cow dung has turned to like a earth kind of a thing. So there are some worms or etc. Some other living beings are there. For them that's a relish. So priyatvam means basically any inert thing which you take has astibhati, as well as it is serving some purpose for some living being, well, then that living being definitely serves its prayojanam through this. Well, definitely it loves. What serves a prayojanam or purpose for me, I definitely will love. And therefore, basically, what I am saying is, ultimately, ignorance is, we can say very well, when I say this is Brahman, you say I don't know, and therefore, ignorance is there. It is born of ignorance. And it is not self-existent. It is definitely the self-existent thing in this is only astibhati priyam. Other than that, everything is name and form. They keep changing. That is mithya. And that is how basically everything is born of ignorance only, ultimately. Ignorance. And so the whole creation, all names and forms, and therefore all creation, everything, you can call it as anirvachya. Not inexplicable. You cannot call it self-existent. You cannot call it non-existent, because right now you and me both are experiencing also. And it is not a self-existent because you can reduce to some other form. Ultimately, you can reduce to the self-existent astibhati priyam. Astibhati priyam cannot be reduced to astibhati priyam. If you want to reduce, you have to reduce. Asti reduces to asti. That's all. Nothing you can do about it. Bhati reduces to bhati. Nothing you can do about it. And therefore, astibhati priyam is the self-existent thing. That is Brahman. And therefore, basically, this name and form is created from ignorance. Instead of astibhati, you are saying a clip. Well, is enough. It is, ignorance is there. And ignorance is anirvachyam. Same way, this product also of ignorance is also anirvachyam. You cannot call it sat. You cannot call it asat. You cannot call it self-existent. You cannot call it non-existent. And therefore, whole creation is a product. Even though it has been told here from the standpoint of we are discussing physical body and all that, from the standpoint of individual, we are saying the ignorance or a karana shariram is a cause for these two bodies, the physical body and the subtle body. But ultimately, with this avidya, which is nothing a non-separate from the maya itself, so we can call it maya, that becomes a cause for the entire samashti also. And so that is how it has been narrated. Now further I will go. Tomorrow we will take one meditation now. Now these two meditations will ultimately relate to the space and so we'll take it. The first, and the second, both. Now one I will give today. Imagine the sun. The sun is. The moon. The moon is. The earth. The earth is. A cow. The cow is. A man. He is. The woman. She is. The space between the sky and the earth, the space is. The time is. My body is. The thought of the body, the thought is. Myself, I is. You is. He is. She is. It is. Any it is. Everything is. I am. The I is. The sky is. The space is. All that is. In what? All that is in what? The moon is in consciousness, isn't it? The sun is in consciousness. The sky is in consciousness. The earth is in consciousness. The space between is in consciousness. Anybody, anything which is in consciousness. My body is in consciousness. I am conscious of the moon, the sun, the stars, the sky, the space. I am conscious of the body. The body is in consciousness. A thought of this body or of anything is in consciousness. I is in what? I is in what? All are in consciousness. All things are in consciousness. I also is. This I is in what? Answer the question in yourself. This I, existent I, is in what? Everything else is in consciousness. I exist. The existence of I is in what? in consciousness. Seeing the I in consciousness. If the I is in consciousness, consciousness is I. Seeing the I as consciousness. So consciousness is I. Consciousness is I. I is consciousness. There is no I. There is consciousness, which is I, which we call I. I is not separate from consciousness. I is not separate from consciousness. Consciousness itself is I. What is consciousness? See the meaning without words. I is consciousness. Consciousness. See the meaning and repeat mentally. Consciousness. See the meaning. Repeat mentally the word consciousness. See the meaning. Consciousness. Silence. Formless. All pervasive. Consciousness. I. All pervasive. Consciousness. Formless. Consciousness. I. Silence. Consciousness. 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 Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.